What's up, everybody? This is Tyler Stafford here with Josh Reddick on Crush City territory. We kicked Chandler out. He's gone. No, he did the classic thing of taking a vacation. He went to Mardi Gras, and then I think he's faking being sick.
We know what happened.
Yeah, I don't buy this whole.
He says the flu and doesn't have his voice, but
Yeah,
I'm not doubting he may have flu-like symptoms, but I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure he's fully blown flu.
Yeah, most of you guys caught the flu the day after you clinch a division, right, Josh?
Correct. Yeah. Usually, though, we did a pretty good job of clinching before off days,
Uh-huh.
so
That's smart.
that was always a nice recovery day.
Yeah, what have you been up to, man? You're back home.
Yep, back home. Another weekend of go-kart racing. Wife and Maverick are off in Charlotte, Carolina, and getting ready for the weekend race, while Ryder and I are hanging out here getting baseball practice, soccer games in for the next 3 days. So
There we go.
we're
Are any of
doing it.
them? Are they all right-handed?
No, my Ryder is my natural born lefty righty,
There you
just
go.
like Dad.
Congrats.
Yep. The best part is I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to teach him. He just grabbed the bat and started swinging left hand, and I was like,
We did it.
yeah, we did. And it's funny because I tried to force him to be a left-handed thrower, but he never took to it as much as I would hope. So I just stopped forcing it.
That's how my oldest daughter is too. I've only shown her how to hit left-handed, so she doesn't know that she can do the other way. She does everything else right-handed.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna force you to do that. Yeah, I always got mad at people like you guys though. You're stolen valor lefty. You get all the benefits of hitting left-handed, but you don't get, pin on your hand in math class. I'm upset with you people that take the lefty away from us.
More natural that way anyway. Right hand's on the bottom, strong hand on the bottom as opposed to being on the top. So it just makes more sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I played tennis, and your tennis backhand would essentially be your opposite hand swing, right? Like it would be like I was swinging right-handed. Right. So I did have that motion forever. It's just funny that when you play baseball, that's not how they teach you.
And it's always funny to me because I grew up like guys like Brian McCann and John Lester come to mind. Guys who like are lefty hitters, and like Lester's lefty, and they play golf right-handed.
Oh,
it makes no sense. Like, how can you go up to the plate and be okay hitting like this way, and then you get down looking like this, and you hitting that? Like, I just don't understand. Like, if you can do that in golf, why can't you do that in baseball?
Yeah, and it's weird how you can compartmentalize it too, because I'm sure you've faked being a switch hitter. It's everybody does. Everybody.
Yeah, we were all switch hitters at age like 9. So
yeah, but it's weird how you have like a better eye on one side. You swing it different. It's just funny to me that you would think that standing, a foot apart from where you normally do, but something about switching that really does mess with your brain.
Yeah. Perspective, man. It's all about perspective.
Yeah. So, have you caught any of the spring training action?
I've been in there a little bit. I watched the highlights basically of what I can get from everybody that I follow, and so yeah, I'm keeping up, I guess, with what the important stuff I guess would be. The catches Altuve's making in left. Then obviously they had to show the throwing error at home, which we're going to just throw that right out the window. We're not worried about throwing errors. He's making plays at the wall. We're happy. We're going to be good with that. Cam Smith still hitting the ball hard. Yeah. And then I think that's pretty much everything I've seen on everybody's reports, and everybody's talking about Lance throwing, and I have seen zero results on what happened.
Yeah, I've seen a few of his videos. Like you said, we saw the error from short left field, but whatever. That's a new throw. Like you said, the thing that was impressive to me was that kind of over the shoulder running into the wall catch they had. That seems like something that would take a lot of time to be comfortable with. I was surprised to see him be able to handle that already.
Yeah, he seems like he has no fear of running into the wall, because he's just going out there all out for those fly balls that are hit well, and have him full tilt, and he's playing it great. He's getting everything to support his body after he makes the catch. Everything looks great right now. So, and the best part is, when you watch it, his route is really, really good. There's no there's no angle. It's direct. It's straight to the ball. So it's right. It's everything's looking good right now for him. If he's doing that in that ballpark, with what we know the wind can do there in West Palm, he's going to have no problem doing anything when the ball plays naturally inside the dome.
How has coaching like route running and outfield defense changed in the last 10, 15 years? I assume with more technology and analytics and stuff, there's, like we can see spin rate on pitches. We know your
Mhm.
exact launch angle on hitting. There's a science to it. Is there anything like that on the defensive side, or is it still kind of more, just feel?
I don't know if they have anything for that analytically yet. They didn't when I was around. The only thing we did through analytics in the outfield was like based on where the guys hit the ball in the gap, whether we were shifting, 10 feet to the right, 10 feet to the left. And then after that, I think it was all just what you had to react to. But the best way to coach reactions like that and getting your knowledge of how the ball flies and how the ball dies is pretty much just reps. And then, at some point the natural athlete's going to take over, but the repetitions you get are just going to make it that much better and make you that much better. And work on everything from your footwork to your shoulder work, making sure everything stays tight so you can get the best direct route you can without flailing all over the place. So he's doing good. He seems to be getting his reps every day when it's in early work, when it's in normal work, when it's in the game. So it's good to see that he's getting action in the game because you can never simulate that kind of thing in batting practice.
Did you have a like a point of reference for you when you jogged out to left field at Dyken Park? Did you have like a physical thing that you were looking for? Like, this is my home spot out here. Was it a blade of grass, or did you line your eyes up anywhere?
Usually when I'm playing, left or the either corner, I'm old school. I kind of play just even with the bags where the first base is lining up with second and vice versa, third to
Hmm.
second. But there in Dyken, I always like to be like maybe 8 to 10 feet to the gap of the wall. Because if I can get anything soft enough hit, I can just go straight line towards the line. Anything I can't get, I can kind of just directly go at shortstop and play the the carom, and that way I still cover the gap plenty enough to where I need to be. So I always like to do that too. But like I said, when I was around, it was kind of later in my career that it was more being controlled by the system as opposed to like the knowledge and reading. Now, if you read a swing good enough, they'd let you move, but they were pretty content with that little sheet in our back pocket being where they wanted you. So I
Yeah,
guess
that was always fun.
it gave us kind of a crutch to lean on if something happened. Like, we're playing a guy in the gap and then we're throwing him all off speed and he's a right-handed hitter. Like, well, it makes no sense. Why am I in the gap if we're just going to throw this guy all off speed? Like, you gave me the wrong report or you gave him the wrong report. Somebody's got to figure it out.
The thing I love about baseball is that there's always like another level of anything you do. You have to then think on the other side. Like, I feel like the legends of, the super veteran hitters, they could probably tell based on where people were being positioned what they were getting thrown. Like if they're moving around a certain way, they're like, hey, normally he plays me 10 feet to the right. Why are they doing
Mhm.
that? They must be attacking this part. I just love that about baseball, that you're constantly trying to outthink the other person. But
Yeah, and you're seeing that too as a hitter. You're seeing the center fielder, shift from one side to the other. And if any experienced pitcher is going to pitch to his defense, then yeah, you can definitely react to that. And coming maybe off speed if they're pulling. So game of chess, man.
when you're standing in the outfield, how much of the stands can you hear? Like, can you hear people's conversations, or is it just that they like scream at you?
No conversations really. Too far away for that unless they're like having an obnoxiously loud one. Then yeah, but no, I mean you obviously hear the chants, you hear the heckling, but it's kind of all like it becomes white noise at any point in time of the game. Obviously, when you know the pitch is being thrown, every pitch is being thrown. It's like it kind of just goes silent for an instant, and then everything just happens. So, but yeah, it basically becomes white noise at times until you hear something either funny or outrageously dumb or provocative, and there's just certain things that stand out.
Yeah, that always cracks me up when you're in the like upper decks and somebody's screaming. I'm like, dude, I can barely hear you. There's no way that, that they can hear you down there.
It's funny because like if they time it right, obviously you can do it. But I've been in ballparks where my dad has been there, and just have those people's voices that stand out. And
Yeah.
my dad has a loud mouth anyway. It was like the fourth inning of a game in Yankee Stadium, playing the A's. You know, obviously it wasn't packed and sold out, but there were still plenty of people there because it was Yankee Stadium. And my dad waited till it got quiet, and he stood up and shouted so loud the whole stadium was quiet, like super. And I was in the batter's box too, so like I had to call time because there's not much that can kind of distract me. But when he stood out, I had to literally step out because he threw me off my game. And it's funny because every ballpark I'd go to, he would do that, and it just didn't matter if the crowd was loud or not. He always stood out.
Yeah. You know who else is standing out right now is Cam Smith.
Yeah, my goodness.
He's good, right?
Like he says, he sees the fastball and hits it. He's like, what did he say? I said, I got a fastball, so I swung. He seems very simple. He seems very professional. I mean, he's driving the baseball, so everything's pointing to positive for him right now. I know I haven't seen or heard anything about defense, but you know, no news is good news on that front if he's not messing anything up. So um, this kid is, if he stays like this, he's going to make it a very hard decision for upper staff when in the spring training rolls around.
Which is crazy because, like, as we've mentioned, I think he has like 140 minor league appearances above, high A, right? Like
Yeah.
he does not have a ton of experience, but I mean, to my eyes, Josh, he looks like a major league hitter. I mean, again, I know it's a super small sample size. We haven't seen a lot of stuff, but just the way that he carries himself in the box, the way his swings look, he does not look overmatched. Is that what you're seeing too?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, he doesn't look like he's bothered or hindered by anything. Like you said, overmatched. You don't see really any off-balance swings, swinging at good pitches. You know, this kid isn't just coming in the seventh inning and facing minor leaguers. He's facing starting big leaguers and some big league relievers, and still doing a fantastic job. So that's the thing that stands out, because you can have these kids have a great spring training, and you look at their at bats and it's all, you know, sixth inning or later when you're pretty much playing against the team that you're going to be playing in the season of Double A or Triple A. So it's good to see these kids, and especially when you get a piece like him back in the Tucker trade, to be able to succeed right away. And you know, if he keeps going this route, the 140 appearances won't matter, and especially in today's game. And they don't really care about seasoning you in the minor leagues anymore. If they think you're ready to succeed and you show them that, they're going to give you that chance. And you know, what does it hurt if he comes up and he doesn't do well? You send him to AAA and he figures it out there. So you know, and especially the way things are looking right now, we don't know what's going to happen with Walker, with what he's got going on. And you know, you and I were talking before the show about, you know, he's 34, has oblique injuries in the past. Oblique injuries are no joke anyway, if it's your first or your second or third time, because everything you do in a baseball uniform involves your core and your oblique. Been there twice, pulled one in '08, pulled another one at the beginning of season in 2015. So, and it's no fun. They were both grade twos, and that's, you know, 6 weeks was what it took for me. The minimum was like 4 to 6. Never took less than 6 weeks for me. We all recovered, you know, differently, but you know, when that injury rolls around, there's not a lot you can do, especially if you're above a grade one. You know, that's 2 weeks of literally just icing the side of your body, de-thawing, and then doing it all over again for 2 weeks. You know, that was your schedule, and that's what it takes. And then, you know, it's hard to do daily activities. You sneeze, it hurts, and it's like being stabbed with a knife every time you feel that sharp pain go in. So it's not fun. And you imagine, you know, how many times do we swing a bat in any given day? Guys are swinging bats, you know, 200 times before the game even starts. So this is a big factor, and hopefully it's something very minor.
So I sit at a computer for a living, and I'm assuming that most of the people listening to us and watching us on YouTube are in a similar boat. What happens when you strain your oblique? I mean, is it just a shooting pain down your wrist? Like what is it?
So for mine, like it was more on the backside for me. So I got it right under my rib cage. And for me, both times when it happened, it felt like somebody took like a 3-inch blade and just stabbed me in the side, both times. And immediately you just go down to the ground. My first one I did on a swing, hit a ball to second base and just went down to a knee, couldn't even run. The 2015 one was actually crazy because we were doing wall ball drills as outfielders in the morning work. And, you know, he hit one a little high, so I tried to rob it like any person would. And I grabbed a chain link part of our fence. And when I pulled, I heard and felt a pop on my right side. And I knew right away my oblique had been popped. So I walked off the field and straight to the trainer's office. And I got to go get an MRI. I just popped my oblique. And they go, okay, let's go. And that was that. 6.5 weeks later.
When you said wall ball, I thought you meant you guys were just out at a brick wall playing wall
On the
ball.
tennis ball.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, we got to bring that back. That was so
No,
much fun. At Little
finch
League,
drills, I guess, would be a better one. Finch drills. But yeah,
I got excited. Spot iceberg.
yeah,
We're chunking it at each
yeah.
other.
Wasn't even a game. It was the after my first game in spring training, like literally like the next morning before I started my second game, did that.
So, I mean, at minimum, he's going to be out a couple of weeks, and he's also going to have to just see live pitching too, because it's not
Mhm.
like it's in the middle of the season where your timing is there. So, I mean, I would imagine it, at minimum, we're looking 3 to 4 weeks before he's game ready, which is right when the season starts. So now we're starting to think about roster construction. If he's not going to be available at the beginning of the season, I think that means obviously Singleton, who we were talking about in our last couple episodes, does he have a spot? I think pretty clearly, yes,
Mhm.
now. But then you've got another spot open, and we've talked about it, but does this leave the door open for Cam Smith to somehow contribute to this team coming out of the gate?
I think what it's going to take for Cam Smith to make this team is if he just absolutely rakes this spring. And, a guy like Kim is going to need like 60 to 70 at bats just to get it ready, just so he can understand how big leaguers are going to somewhat pitch and figure out the big league side of things as opposed to just getting at bats. Because if he is that consideration, you don't want him to go to field two on a day where the team's playing and face some guy who's going to be in Double A. So you just don't want that. You want to get him in there against experience and get him the experience that he's going to need to get there and get ready. So, it opens doors for, I think, other guys as well. Like we talked about, I think it brings in DeZenzo into the picture. Obviously, Singleton gets majority of starts and will start against righties if he has to, if Walker does start in the DL to start the season. But it's not just Cam Smith. There's some other guys that are going to be watched a little more closely now that they may need to hang on to for a little bit longer.
Yeah, so it's crazy to me that Cam Smith could play himself into that, because obviously coming into the spring training, I don't think anyone, probably even including himself, would have
Mhm.
legitimately thought, whether he makes the team for opening day or not, that would even be a consideration. And at this point, I feel like, I mean, that has to be part of the conversation of where do we need to get looks at this guy? Is this somebody that, we need to, whether that actually happens or not, it is pretty crazy to,
It is. Well, I think it's a conversation that the Astro staff has to have this week. I mean, this is
yeah.
something that they have to decide sooner rather than later, because we've seen in the past, last year, cough, cough, that, injury announcements aren't very high up the list here. So there's that comes into play. So they have to be prepared for what may or may not happen. And if they once they figure that out, that's something that they need to have a sit down with Cam as well, is to talk. And it's like, look, kid, this is something that may happen, or don't tell him at all and not try to add any pressure and do what they do, and wait till the last day of spring training and take him out and say, hey, kid, you made the roster. Like, you're going with us to exhibition games, but you're playing with us in Houston. So, but yeah, I think this week is huge because once they figure out the full details of Walker's injury, they're going to have to make a choice. And this is the time. This is crunch time. We're, like I said, we're not far off in the season. Spring training is going to go by faster than everybody thinks, and it always does. And then it'll, be April, and we'll be, hitting the ground and running.
When somebody on the team gets hurt, pulls something like that, do people in the clubhouse treat it like, the flu is going around and they don't want to catch the injury bug? Does everybody get real weird the next day?
Uh, Not in my experience, no. You just kind of feel for the guy, and hey man, sucks. Sorry to hear it, blah blah blah, kind of deal. But I don't think it's something that affects other guys to where they're kind of panicking about an injury bug.
Yeah. So now, like you said, spring training is just a couple more weeks for the veterans. Is there a time during spring training that you start to ramp things up even more? Like when does it really start to feel like, okay, I got to get this done because the season is right around the corner?
Usually, when it all varies. Like for me personally, it was always like if I get 20 to 25 at bats in spring training, I'll be my timing should be right where I want it to be, and I should be ready to go. But my biggest thing was always just kind of getting my body ready to put the cleats back on for 3 hours a day. Like that was literally one of my hardest things was going through the foot pain of one, breaking in new cleats in spring training, getting used to running in and out of the dugout with them on, because it's just something that, you don't do a whole lot in the off season. But that was really my thing, just getting my body where I was used to wearing cleats again and getting timing, because the arm really was already ready because you do your throwing stuff in the off season. But everything else, just say it's baseball shape. That's what I always go back to saying, baseball shape, and that's exactly what it is. Just getting used to being in spikes, standing on the field for 3 hours, and getting in the box and just kind of getting that baseball movement back in.
I feel like you should have just been wearing cleats in the off season. You would have come in ready to go.
No, absolutely not. This, I don't have the same. We didn't have the same grass that you're used to, so you don't really want to just walk out and
Walk around the kitchen with the cleats
the
on.
kitchen, or the Texas or Georgia South mud, and get them all stained and dirty. So, and most of them were already in spring training anyway. You didn't really travel with your cleats, but you just had the old pair. But it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. Obviously, you did your workout, like your outfield drills, your stuff like that in cleats. But that was 30 minutes, at max for me, because it was always just myself and a coach doing it. So we knocked it out pretty quick, and they were immediately right back out of the cleats.
I was scrolling TikTok earlier because I'm a productive member of society,
Mm-hmm.
and I was scrolling. I had a couple baseball highlights come up, and I'm sure the algorithm just hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one that popped up was a highlight video of you and the whole crowd singing "Careless Whisperer" behind
Yep.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the thought, one, this rules, and
Best walk-up
two,
song in the history of the game.
yeah, it's so fun. But two, I was like, it's weird to me that Josh is on the same internet as me, and you could conceivably just be scrolling through one day and you see a highlight reel of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that weird to like come across your name of other people talking about you when you're on the internet?
At 38, no, not really.
Yeah.
And it happens. It just, we know how iPhones or any kind of cell phone works nowadays. You mention somebody's name a couple of times, and then it becomes on Twitter or X, Instagram, and TikTok and everything. So it's definitely happened. But I think probably, gosh, when it stopped becoming like surreal to me, would have been probably like 2014, 15. I guess once I realized that I was here to stay and I wasn't going anywhere, that, okay, you're going to be, you're going to be on TV, you're going to be on the internet, you're going to be talked about daily and blah, blah, blah. So it's just something that you're going to have to learn to live with and adapt to. And, how you handle it is how you handle it. So
Yeah, I was
but
just
those first few years, I'll never forget, when I debuted, I must have watched the video of my first hit 50 times that night before I went to sleep.
I was about to ask you what, like,
And
how often were you watching highlight reels?
I
I would
still
do it
watch
all
it to
the
this
time.
day.
Of course you would.
I watch highlights to this day, but I watch my first career stuff like all the time. And like
Yeah.
I hit my first career home run like 2 days later in a day game, and then we flew from Baltimore to Tampa. And I literally didn't go to sleep till probably like 4 or 5 a.m. because I was so stoked that I hit my first career big league homer. And mind you, I was facing like Matt Garza the next day, so that wasn't my best choice. But I literally could not sleep because I was just so excited that I had gotten to the big leagues and hit a home run.
Do you remember the first time you were on like Sports Center Top 10?
Yeah, so I have a two-part story for that. So the first time I made SportsCenter Top 10, I had just graduated high school,
Really?
and I was at Turner Field, and the Braves were playing the Brewers on a Sunday afternoon. I'm front row in left field, and in old Turner, you had like probably 3 feet of space between the front row and the wall. Well, big Carlos Lee's playing left field, and I've been wearing him out all weekend. I was that guy. I wasn't provocative, but the standard, you suck, you can't. And he wasn't hitting worth a dang either. So I was on him, and then I can't remember who hit the ball, but somebody hit a ball that was beelining right for us. I'm like I'm leaned over, ready to catch this thing, and Carlos Lee jumps and robs this home run and literally almost touches my hand. And after that, I didn't say one word about it. I was like, man, how was it? Like, I commemorated him and gave him all kinds of praise for making a sick play. And sure enough, went home that night. SportsCenter's top 10 number one play was Carlos Lee, and all you see is this 18-year-old me leaning over, ready to catch the ball. So that was
Did
pretty
you have it
cool.
on like VHS? Did you tape it on the VCR? You're ready to go?
I had actually called my parents to record it on the TV. So
Dude,
I'm pretty sure we had it. I think that was DVD times. We had blank DVDs then. That was 05. So
me and my dad we were in the Crawford boxes one time, and Biggio hit a home run to the guy like in front of us, but we taped the game because we always did anyway. And we had the clip. You could see us in this thing, and it was the coolest thing ever. We were like,
yeah.
I was like 8 or 9, right? But I'm like showing it to all my friends when they came on. That must have been so cool to be on Sports
Yep.
Center.
And my first one on SportsCenter when playing would have been probably my first career hit. Like, is the Red Sox. We got a lot of coverage. So, but the one that I got probably more coverage was like the day I hit my first home run. I actually had a bloody nose. I had to stop the inning before. I had to stop Clay Buchholz from pitching, go get my nose stopped and plugged, go back out to left field, get 2 more outs, and then I led off the next inning and had to redo all that stuff. So the inning was like waiting for me to start. I'm 3 days in the show, bloody nose plug in my nose, and I go up and have like a 9-pitch at bat, hit my first career homer. So all that got talked about within like a 5-minute stretch on SportsCenter.
So it's your version of the Nolan Ryan picture of just covered in blood.
Right. Yeah. No,
Not nearly
not
as cool.
nowhere near as cool as a story, but
Did you have any guys at the beginning of your career that you were like starstruck to come across from watching them as a kid?
the team I was on.
Yeah.
I mean, the clubhouse I walked into my first big league camp was just full of Hall of Famers and veterans. Like, obviously David Ortiz is a pretty big one to walk into, and just towering of a man, towers over you, biggest teddy bear on the planet too. He was one of them. People forget because this was 09, but John Smoltz was actually on the Red Sox in 2009. So big Braves fan, huge fan, big fanboy there. That team that was probably about it, other than just the usual names. I mean, gosh, you go from like Mike Lowell, Pedroia, I guess
Do you
Ellsbury wasn't
remember?
really a veteran then, but like Papelbon, then you go to like Lester, Beckett, Veritek, Tim Wakefield, like it just keeps going. I think Kevin Millwood was on our team that year. Like you could just keep going and going with the names in that clubhouse. So the one that really got to me was obviously beating my favorite player in Griffey.
Oh,
And I think I was 27 in Oakland of all places. We were playing the Angels, and he was there doing a piece on Trout.
mm-hmm.
And he Chili Davis was our hitting coach.
Mm.
And Chili was a veteran when he broke in, and so he was talking to Chili. Well, Chili and I had been together for like 3 or 4 years at that point, and he knew he was my favorite, so he called me over there, and I was speechless. I froze, couldn't say a word, just absolutely stunned that I was talking to King Griffey Jr.
Yeah, that would definitely give me too. Do you remember the first time playing back in Atlanta as like a professional?
Oh yeah. My first time would have been 2014. We went there with Oakland. I kind of had like an out of body experience moment. Like I came into the dugout, and all I could see was little Josh in the like in left field
Yeah.
bleachers, like watching the game. Like it was such a cool moment to be able to like sit there and be in that dugout, because I was that kid that said one day I'm going to be out there, and here I am. So just kind of a full circle moment that if all dreams come true, man.
Did your kids get to come out on the field and see fireworks or anything when you were
Oh yeah,
playing?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Are they jaded to it? Is it just like dad's office?
oh yeah. They don't really get the full picture of I played baseball. They know I played baseball on TV and stuff. But yeah, when I was a Diamondback, they actually did Friday night fireworks. So every Friday, they would get to come down and watch the fireworks. Loved it. They love fireworks. but yeah, ever since they've been around and born, even without fireworks, they'd always come on the field to just run. So every time I do something, whether it be bananas or like I did like a celebrity softball game out here last weekend for perfect game, and they literally came out and when can we go in the field? When can we go in the field? When's the game over? And they had fireworks too, so they got to go in the field for fireworks, and then they got to run on the field. So they expect it now. They know that they get special privileges than everybody else at the ballpark, and they're used to it.
Can Maverick take you in Mario Kart?
No, he cannot.
That's good.
But
It doesn't
nobody in this family
over.
can beat me in video games.
All right, we'll have to play. That's my go-to. Me and my daughter have been playing a ton of Mario Kart Switch, and I'm pumped for the new Tony Hawk to come out. Did you see
I know,
that?
right? I have seen that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still on Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't think I'll get off that game for a long time.
Is it on PS5?
I'm on Xbox now.
Okay.
The new Xbox.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually do it remotely. So I do it on my iPad.
What?
Yeah.
didn't
Both systems you can do this thing called remote play, and I can link up my controller. I play on my Xbox controller, just Bluetooth it to the iPad.
Really?
And as long as you're on an internet connection, you can connect and do it remotely. So it turns on the Xbox for
Learning new
you,
things.
loads everything. So yeah, I can literally do it in my living room when my kids are doing stuff and I don't have anything to do. I'll just pull out the iPad and play for a
While
little
they're
while.
while they're watching Bluey or whatever,
Exactly.
you can throw. Okay, this is
Mhm.
this is game changing. I'm about to go downstairs and figure this out because I've been stuck watching a lot of PBS Kids, a lot of Disney Plus lately.
I get a lot less gaming if I actually played it on my actual system.
Oh yeah, we
I might get 30 minutes a day if I did that. Now I may get 2 to 3 hours a day now with that.
all right.
Yeah,
You're leveling me up. I'm ready
I'm
to
doing
go.
it. I'm living the dream.
Well, we will be here to continue living the dream, Josh. Hopefully, Chandler stops faking an injury, comes back in. He's holding out for contract negotiation.
The Phantom IL, the old
Uh-huh.
Phantom IL guy.
He's mad about being franchise tagged, I think.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
he's holding out for a bit, but he'll be back soon. And we will continue to follow along, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
See you guys.